Hi, you are watching SightsIn Plus, and this is Romesh. Please to subscribe the channel for the HR news, for HR updates, and conversation with the top-notch CHROs, thought leaders, and business heads. Today, we are going to analyze the second quarter result of India's top IT companies. Recently, TCS, Wipro, HCLTech, LTI, Mindtree, Tech Mahindra, these are all the companies they have released their second quarter result. If you look at the numbers, so the numbers might be little, these are a little better than the first quarter. To discuss in detail, joining us, by renowned HR thought leader, Mr. Milind Mutalik, is former Chief People Officer at Accolite Digital. Milindji, welcome to Sites Plus.
Thank you so much. And
Really,
I
I
think,
was going through the
Q2 results.
data, what the numbers these companies have shared in second quarter. So if you look at the headcount, so except TCS, I think there's an addition, there's a growth in headcount with all the 4 5 companies. And if you look at TCS, so already because they have announced that there would be a 2% the layoff or termination or restructuring, whatever the term you want to use. So 2%, and apart from 2%, might be there's also some voluntary attrition, involuntary attrition, and there could be little the big number around 20,000. We can see between 90 to 20,000. There's a drop in headcount to the TCS. The headcount, which was 6,13,069 in first quarter, now in the September ending quarter, the headcount is 5,93,314. Though there are so many theories in market, so many theories on internet, but as the numbers reflect in quarterly result, so there's a drop of around
Absolutely.
90 to 20,000 headcount. If you
Absolutely.
look at the
Absolutely.
Infosys, so the number, there's an addition of 8,000 in headcount around. Currently, in the second quarter, the headcount of Infosys is 3,31,991 number. Wipro, there's also addition of around 2,000 people, 2,35,492. With the HCLTech, 2,026, 2,26,640, and there's addition of around 3,000 people. With the Tech Mahindra, we see the good numbers of addition as
Absolutely.
compared to
Yep.
the total headcount. Currently, the headcount is 1,02,714 and total addition of around 4,000 people. LTI Mindtree, there is also good addition of numbers. Currently, it is 86,447. So that is also the addition of around 3,500 something people with this number. Looking at the attrition, so there's attrition, there's a little dip in attrition. That is also good news for the companies. That is very marginal, but there's a little dip in attrition part. How do you see this data? How do you read this data based on the attrition and headcount?
All right. So, first and foremost, this data, as we expect, Q2 is in line with Q1. In the sense, there's no huge difference in terms of movements, except of TCS reducing the manpower by whatever, nearing about 20,000 people. At the same time, the rest of the companies have added up 21,000 people. So typically have 1,000 people net addition in this top six companies. You rightly pointed out each one added up anywhere in the range of 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Tech Mahindra incidentally has added up more than 4,000 people, 4,197 as a number, which is big as per their headcount of total 1,52,000. So that's one of the good traction. Another very important thing is again Infosys adding up 8,200 people is a good addition. However, I would say this trend has not added up big way in the revenue. Because if you look at now attrition, let's talk first about attrition. Again, attrition is stable for all these organizations. Rather, Wipro, it has typically the attrition has a little bit reduced, I would say. Whereas Infi, it is again at the same level because the platform is pretty big, or then the head count is high. That being a reason, it's there. Rest, but again, at the overall level, the attrition has not much dipped or gone up. So it was kind of 13 point odd, which has remained to be 13 point odd. Like 13 point, if I look at overall average, which was coming to 13.68 from 13.86. So there's no much of 8586. So there's not much of a difference in the attrition. Looks like a stable state of affair when it comes to going into it. However, let me give you a broad aspect on to the revenue. And revenue, if I quickly run Q1, Q2 revenue numbers, you'd find TCS 7.42 billion to 7.67 billion. Wipro 2.59 billion to 2.6 billion. Infosys 4.94 for quarter 1 to 5.08. Okay, 3.454 HCL to 3.64. So look at the difference is not huge. 1.59 to 1.59, 56 to 59, 1.15 to 1518. So from 21.20 billion, it has gone up to 21.76 billion. So the difference, though you have added the manpower, is coming to about 2.64%, which is really not a very positive mode. But I would rather say with a lot of geopolitical perspectives and other problems which are happening around, I think these numbers are solid numbers according to me. So while there is adversity, there is a growth is a positive side. That's what I would say. So there are definitely a certain aspects which are being working out well. Second, I just want to tell you the numbers for this top six companies for last 3 years. Overall, addition of all the numbers. So 23 financial year 23-24, these organizations ended up with 81.1 billion, all six together, with TCS doing 28 billion, 27.93 precisely, and rest of them 10 billion, 19 billion, Infosys, and so on and so forth. So that was 81.1 billion. Year next, that is 24-25, which has got over, the it went up to 84.35 billion, which is a difference of 4.13%. And especially the growth was that time added up by Infosys majorly, TCS majorly, and HCL. Okay, rest of them were a bit flat at that point of a time. But this year, since we have completed the this quarter, okay, if I multiply this by 2 just to get the 12 months projected numbers based on the same kind of proportion, then the growth from 84.35 billion looks to go up to 85.92 billion, which is just 1.86% or 2% increase. Okay, so day by day we find the increase is not going above 3 or 4%. Why is this 3 or 4% also coming up? Because here this year, Infosys again has given 3 to 4% increase. HCL has given the same. LTI Mindtree has given the same. But we see TCS is going to remain flat. Okay, that being a reason, the overall growth again is going to be about 2%. So I think it's a testing times even now. And this year, it definitely is going to be a testing time with a lot of other factors which are coming into the play. So my perspective or summarization, it's a stable state at this point of time, but not the growth stage. But definitely we see there's definitely a positive aspect which will come in 2027, because one of the aspect which we see is the order book for all these companies is very positive. Yeah. So that would be my summarized comment on the numbers, attrition, and the revenue numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have referred 2, 3 years of data, and based on this, the growth projection. So that is a 1 to 2% growth. That is definitely that is not very encouraging. At least if we don't touch 3, 4%, at least the growth at industry. So that is looking little difficult right now. So if you look at the global scenario, global uncertainties, so we have seen a lot of we have discussed also, like in September, early September, there was certain development regarding some H1 visa and also some tariff, etc. These are the things. But still, if you see in case of TCS, so there have been a growth and business from America. So how do you see? How do you anticipate these other things? The future quarters, maybe the next quarter, for
Sure,
these IT
sure.
companies.
See, according to me, still global conditions, as we say, are not stable from the perspective of policies. So, what do I or rather what has been reading or observed in various analysis is there's a cautious growth, and the spending also is a discretionary spending is not coming through, is being waiting. Why do we say that? Because the order book is good, positive. The order booking also has started happening, especially in this quarter. Wipro TCS has got a order booking done, which is a positive sign. However, because of macroeconomics, global uncertainty, US tariff, various other things changing, it is going to be even a cautious this next quarter and the quarter next to that. So we don't see March up to March 26, there's going to be a drastic change which is going to happen unless there's an overnight change in the policies and something's going great. So, quarterly order booking is as good as equal to the revenue of a quarter for this case companies. So it's roughly in the range of 21, 22 billion kind of. 22 billion was the order booking for this top six companies in first quarter, which is about 19 point something or 20 billion in this quarter. So that means you are able to support your growth. Your order book is full, and that's a very positive sign. So it's a muted growth. Something is stopping this growth, and that's typically a conditions around us, and that will happen. Also, one of the observation is, as you rightly pointed out, banking financial services, even in these 2 quarters, have proved not going down completely. Though there is a bit of a hit which is coming into manufacturing as well as engineering and design organizations. They have been remain soft, or manufacturing didn't grow as expected, and that's the reason you would find that this growth which is coming in, we still find, kind of the BFSI is still probably the higher percentage, both in terms of TCS, Wipro, Infosys, and LTI. These are the four companies even now has roughly 32% to 36% of their revenue coming out of BFSI vertical, and that's a positive sign, wherein they have not got the similar kind of a number. So if you look at manufacturing 8%, in fee 16%, though HCLTech was having good this time also, it's 18.3% is HCLTech, revenue coming out of the manufacturing, TechM 18%, LTI 19%. But the flagship is even now BFSI bank, is the one which is leading at the average, though I would say HCL and TechM has a lesser dependency on BFSI. They just have 21% and 16 or 17% in case of TechM. Still, overall, all the six companies, 28.2% of revenue is coming out of BFSI. I think that's one of the major thing, whereas manufacturing at the average is 13.5%. Okay, so this is one of the trend where I would see if the BFSI moves faster, some of the things go well, then this vertical is going to bring back the IT again, IT services organizations again into the limelight.
So I was going through some detail about the TCS, the domain wise, as you already discussed, that BFSI has done well, and there's also increase in the contribution from the, if you look the domain wise, it is around 32.2%, which was 32% earlier
Yes.
and 30% earlier. So there's a big contribution of BFSI.
Certainly.
Otherwise, this life sciences, we can see also it will improvement in life sciences part, but manufacturing remained 8.8%, which was 8.7% earlier and
Absolutely.
8.6% in previous quarter. So BFSI is an improvement that is improving. Absolutely. So now coming to another very important the factor that most of the companies in India are working on the artificial intelligence. Wipro has the order of 2 billion artificial intelligence working, supporting to the companies. Infosys, they are having the similar kind of order. And TCS has announced 1 gigawatt the data science project for artificial intelligence. How do you see this is because the way the US is triggering to India also somehow also hitting on dignity part. So India is also working on the artificial intelligence, how they can come up in this area on a top. How do you see the future of artificial intelligence and IT services in place of AI services. How do you see this
Okay.
shift?
See, rather, I would say, I'm not the huge qualified person for talking on artificial intelligence, though. But whatever I read and observe, based on that, I can tell you, artificial intelligence, again, today is at the stage of transition where people have started working on it, people have started adopting it. But what backs it up? So, before that, let me tell you, how is the artificial intelligence changing in IT services? One of the example could be, HCL, which has put in their reports also some of the things. So they are trying to classify the artificial intelligence services into different categories. That industry AI solution, AI engineering, okay, then come into agentic AI where they have a different offerings done. Physical AI, which is typically, edge AI, robotics is a physical AI they are calling. Then AI factory, build and operate AI factory. So they are calling that AI advisory, and all these places they are building up IPs. Now, I think that is something which is a game changer. If you start building up IPs, then I'm sure you're talking about something which is going to be a long term, and you are able to have a proprietary onto it. And that's going more towards innovation and making you certainly a much better player in that case. So everybody has adopted, as being published AI first strategy, and our services are going to be related to AI. So I know for sure these services will be kind of clubbed in with the AI aspects coming into it. But if I'm going into details of it, if you look at what is AI needs the most is your data centers, and another very important thing is it needs water and electricity. Okay, these are the two major important things which we need to look at. Very recently, Google has announced to have a data center at Vizag, wherein they are going to have the investment of some billion, 15 billion, or whatever amount which has been talked about. But typically, many of our European countries, okay, have said that they do not want to get the data centers open because of need of water and electricity. Okay, India today is at the level where our environment, we are though conscious about environment, we are happy to say that 43% of total installed power of ours is on non-fossil fuel, which is either solar or wind power or others. We also have a third largest green building footprint. Now, these are some of the positive points for India, but sustaining the artificial intelligence with the data centers and the servicing of a data centers would need two things. One is a semiconductor chips, and second very important thing is environment like a water and electricity. Now, these two are going to be definite challenges as we go ahead as a background of it. I'm not doubting on anything on the technology or the uses of it, but we need to find the challenges which are going to be in the environment as to how we overcome them. Though this is a bit of a diverse point, but I felt the front end is something which we are getting attracted to, but on the background, these are the important factors which are also need to be considered.
We have the good infrastructure for the developing this data centers in India
Yes,
for the
yes.
artificial
Data center
intelligence.
needs a proper, water and electricity, and Vizag is going to answer us because that's going to be one of the biggest center. If they Google puts in a data center with the investment of 15 billion, because a lot of I would say sustainable power, green power is something which globally people are working on to. So this is also one more important issue which everybody will have to tackle as we go ahead.
Right, right. As these results are also indication of the future workforce planning. So as you rightly pointed out, that margins are low if you compare with the previous data. So this year, even TCS, if you see, so the net profit, that is 12,904 crore, which was earlier 12,760 crore. So not very huge change, little on a growth side. With the Infosys, it was 6,921 crore. Now that is the 7,364 crore. And with the HCLTech, it was 3,843 crore in the first quarter, and which is now 4,200 35 crore. Here we can see some good number with the HCLTech. With the Wipro, it was 3,336 crore in the first quarter, and now there's a degrowth and 3,243 crore the net profit. Might be the revenue maybe the same with the first quarter, but there is a drop in net profit for the Wipro. Based on this data, this net profit margin spaces, and looking at the project, what the kind of project they're working, most of the project in India and also some AI services project, and the way they are hiring, these people are hiring. How do you see the workforce planning in coming quarters?
Sure, sure,
And
sure.
also if you can consider the salary part, because that is also very important.
Yeah,
In previous
yeah,
quarters, we have seen very marginal salary hike. So how do you see
yeah, yeah.
these two things
Okay,
in coming
okay.
quarters?
Sure, sure. So one very important thing, what you're saying is everybody, every organization today is focusing on a operating margin and cost optimization. I'm happy to see some of the data. See, TCS doesn't publish their utilization data, but some of the companies which are publishing their utilization data, like Mindtree, Infosys, the utilization ratio has gone up to 84 to 88%. I think that's one of the major sign of they're focusing more onto utilization of the resources in the best way. So I see cost optimization, financial strategy is working because you need to have a healthy operating margin. Headcount and attrition today is actually under control. So there's no huge fluctuation when it comes to, typically a demand in the market or attrition going haywire, because 13.65% is a good attrition. In fact, some of the global organizations are doing layoff because they don't have attrition. Yeah. So now what is the shift which is happening typically is obviously the talent which is required is more of AI, data science, cybersecurity, cloud technology. All this is something which is required along with your traditional roles. So that reskilling or new skills are become very critical. I'm sure the campus hiring is going to be much better or more because that's something which is going to happen. So, according to me, there's a revival in the campus hiring, and it's going to go up as an investment by this organization because this saves. And today, there's an acceptance also from the side of a client that, we don't want a very experienced, very expensive resource, though you're able to deliver well and good because there are many tools which has come in. I think probably with the AI coming and coding being done through AI tools, experience may not be one of the criteria, but skill would be major criteria. That's what I'm trying to make a very big statement, though it's not being proven, but that's what my thought process. In the lateral hiring, basically a lot of roles which are coming up more are mid or senior level, which are digital transformation, delivery leadership, that kind of roles are coming for experienced professionals, but the coding roles are comparatively low. Now, everyone has obviously AI as a strategic thing for the growth of the next year. So, according to me, there's going to be a fresher intake, which will be definitely high as we go ahead. We feel potential recovery by FY27 because all this is available, but we are not making the actions to do a spending. The minute the spending starts, you will able to see this company is growing by 5, 7, 10%, and that's going to be a FY27 expectations. Okay, because by then the AI adoption cycle or the whatever is the process we are having with us is going to be at the maturity level. So 6 more months, and I'm sure we are going to have a much better, talent. There's a shift typically is happening because of one of the way even the campus hiring is changing is a train and then hire model is coming, which is evident today that they're asking industry is wanting the skill depth to be checked before the hiring because they do not want to do the investment. They would like them to be trained and then being hired by them after doing the assessment and testing. One of the major factor which is coming up around this IT services industry is global capability centers. We have been talking about it earlier too. And that's something which is also becoming bit of a challenge because the clients which are opening up their own GCCs in India are not going to the they become a competition for this IT services player. Okay, and they are also hiring a similar roles to develop or support their operations. Okay, and that's one more important thing which is happening. India, actually, for a GCC point of view, has given a lot of projections, because when you talk about business model from the perspective of PESTEL, which is political, economic, social, technical, legal, and environmental, India is today pretty supportive on all this front, because we have SEZ, we have liberalized FDIs, we do have economic growth which is happening, we have a talent available with us, we have socially able to do the work with any of the community. We have 5G, 6G. We are digitally pretty, advanced. So all these aspect, we have, reduced tax burden when it comes to export services, environment. As I said, we are working towards a green infrastructure. So there's a huge expectations that the revenue by 2030 would go up to about 110 to 125 billion from today's 64, 65 billion. Again, the number of GCC is expected to be more than 2,500. Why I'm saying this? This is going to run parallel to IT services industry. And employment, they expecting from 2 million or 2.5 million, it will go up to even 4 to 4.5 million.
Every year, around 100 GCCs are coming, and we see a lot of growth in
Yes,
GCCs.
yes,
And these IT companies, like maybe the Wipro, Infosys, these are also investing in GCC right now. So I think there's a good
absolutely.
future for the GCCs. But coming to
Yeah,
freshers part, as you said, that
yes.
is. We can see also the good hiring. We can see also the good campus hiring. But now coming to artificial intelligence, now that is the generative AI, then AI agents, then these agentic AI. So now, right now, all the repetitive work, all the repetitive tasks, and especially this coding task, that is somehow it is on hit, and might be. Do you think there will be any impact on freshers hiring because of these agentic AI? So
See, freshers hiring would actually increase, because they would like, if you would like to experiment, you would like the lesser cost people rather than the higher cost people. So the better bet is to go for the people who are actually well trained, okay?
okay,
Who are, and the youngsters today are much tech savvy as compared to the earlier generations. And that's going to be the biggest advantage to us, because if it's an imperative, instead of hiring three experienced people, can I hire 10 freshers? And I would always take a bet of eight fresher rather than three, experienced people whom I don't know I'll able to train or not. Yeah. So that's going to be the situation. And again, coming to a summary, the growth is slow. Okay. But FY27 is optimistic aspects, because by then we will have a maturity of a AI and the application of it and the revenue generation models of it also. There is going to be a competition of GCC into the IT services, but they will have to find their way out of it. And there's a transition because of AI, and AI first is going to be strategy by everyone to see that they are able to take it up to the level where they are able to become the masters in AI to provide the services and get the revenue out of it. Yeah. Talent needs to be sharpening their sword with the emerging technologies, otherwise they will not have a space. But the order book shows there's going to be a positive aspects which will work typically in favor of IT services companies. So future is bright, though we may have to wait for 6 more months, 2 more quarters to see how we are able to make it happen. But automation and AI used to be a big fear. From there, I think it is not so much of a big fear, is something which has been probably coming up to the place, not fully, but partially. Because whatever attrition or whatever layoffs which has happened were really a mundane jobs which could have been done with even some digitization automation. I know some of the TCS layoffs are really a people who were doing hugely repetitive work which could have been really automated, and they could go out, and that's what has
right.
happened typically.
Right. So
Yeah.
if we try to summarize the whole discussion, basically, if you look at compare this quarter with the previous quarter, so absolutely the numbers are good, and maybe in terms of account, maybe in terms of attrition, maybe in terms of revenue as well. And the good part is these all the companies are having good projects, so that is enthusiastic. And coming to the campus hiring, so I think the companies they have already committed in the first quarter. TCS that they will hire around 52,000 people, and Infosys around 20,000 people, Wipro around 10 to 12,000, and similarly the HCLTech. And I hope these companies will honor the words. So thank you so much,
Yeah.
Milindi, for joining us and sharing your wonderful thoughts.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.